when I'm working with him, what number he gives is what we aspire to achieve. There are 54 countries, and we're saying the last time we had Ahmad, we did 35. For sure, that was what we predicted in Harare. There's one person when you took away our vote, but most of our candidates who were going for CAF hit 35, including himself. So I'm looking at upwards of that, as you said. So let's work on that. So one thing I want to say is this. I present a candidate who is a huge force on the African continent. Not only are we talking about economic here, we're talking about a comparative analysis of the candidates that are given us by Africa as football fanatics. Put Patrice, put the other candidates, and tell me what you think. And this is in respect of the achievements that these people have had in their personal lives. Sometimes we've had this problem of having to push people into office. We had no choice the last time, I must say, because the constitution we were fighting was that which President Issa had put in place, which inhibited any other person to contest, not this time around. We took away that conditionality in the last AGM at the CAF Congress. Therefore, anybody can participate. Thus, what we are comparing with Patrice, seriously, is no competition. I therefore wish to state that, as a matter of fact, we are fighting upwards of the Ahmad numbers, which is 35, and those in competition must brace themselves that this time around, it's a much more aggressive fight. There's very few days left, and we should be able to hit that number, Pini. That's right? President? Okay, no sleeping. Patrice Motsepe is a winner. He has endeavored in many directions. We don't want to embarrass you, Mr. Motsepe. And we promise you that we will do everything and ensure that you are victorious. There are many presidents here I've not yet recognized, but most of the SAFA presidents are here. And there's also a president from Benin, or vice president. And I must state, as a matter of fact, that we are all happy. Africa is delighted. You are a totally new person in this ballgame. And you are a breath of relief and fresh air. Unlike looking for office because you want to look inside the coffers, this is different. And we've not grown because people were looking for a way or a place to go and feed their belly. This is different. This man here I'm presenting is different. Once you are holding an office and you are not looking to taking from inside, you are a better candidate. So unfortunately, that's not the record that I have of other people that want the same office. Your clear advantage is very much well known on the African continent. You have a good record, and we're not going to want to spoil it. And we will fight like anybody else. If they go dirty, we go dirty. If they go smart, we go smart. So that's the name of the game. My name is Philip Kiamwa, I'm CAF President. I'm official manager for Motsepe. So please, brace us until the 12th of March when the election takes place. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Philip Chiangwa, CAF President, for dishing it out and saying if they go smart, we go smart. If they rough it up, he's more than ready to rough it up as well. So that's a hardened soldier at war, and you can feel the intensity of it. And again, an acknowledgement to you, Amaju Pinnick, the Nigerian FA President. Thank you so much for those words as well. Major support, and I think the numbers actually spoke for themselves. You mentioning between 35, 38, and 40. Never seen this man smile so much, and I think it reverberates right down the main table, and I'm sure right across the African continent. I'll just remind everybody that's watching this on the live link that this press conference live as it is also translated into French, Arabic, Portuguese, as well as Spanish. And the same will also apply to the final presentation of the 10-point action plan that Dr. Patrice Motsepe will be presenting to us shortly. But before that, one individual, Dr. Ivan Khoza, mentioned him and acknowledged him, his presence, and a very key cog in all of this is the Ministry of Sport. And I remember even at the initial press conference that was held at SAFA House, and his presence made a big, big difference in terms of reassuring people that not only is it about regions, but it's also from a government perspective that he gets the acknowledgement and the support. And even on that day, in the absence of Dr. Patrice Motsepe, he made sure that South Africa is reassured. And that's all people wanted, was a sign and a sense of reassurance. And let me acknowledge you, Bab Nyambose, for your role in that. Ladies and gentlemen, I hand over now to the Minister of Sports, Arts and Culture, Minister Nathi Mthethwa.
Okay, thank you very much. Thanks, Robert, and good afternoon, morning, to everybody here. Football is number one sport. Acknowledging the leadership here. What is clear is that we are here to present not a South African candidate, but an African candidate who is going to foster unity on the continent as a whole, starting here at home. We're speaking in one voice, from Dr. Khoza to Dr. Jordaan to Dr. Chiangwa. We are speaking in one voice. I would want to acknowledge the presidents here with us from different regions, and President of COSAFA as well are here. Just a few days ago, we addressed COSAFA and thanked each and every country in this region for supporting what we present as an African candidate. Football remains the prime sport on the continent, and it's the first-class sport on the continent. It therefore deserves a first-class candidate. I'm not going to be talking about the other brothers because they still remain our brothers. We are in this together with them, but that's how far it goes. Ours is Dr. Patrice Motsepe, who knows that, and they've spoken, that we are going to be introducing integrity in sport. Integrity which is characterized by good governance, is certain. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much indeed. That's the Minister of Sports, Arts and Culture, Minister Nathi Mthethwa. Again, it's resounding, it's an affirmation, it is very positive, ladies and gentlemen, and that is where the journey is. And just putting, I suppose, at the doorstep of Dr. Patrice Motsepe the fact that development is key as far as his concerned, saying that the continent is hugely underdeveloped, and we cannot disagree with that sentiment at all. Thank you so much, Bob. Now, the moment that everybody's been waiting for has arrived, ladies and gentlemen. The presentation, the 10-point action plan, is ready to be shared with our media, the continent and the world, and for the very first time pronouncing publicly about his candidature, ladies and gentlemen, let's give a warm welcome to Dr. Patrice Motsepe.
Let me start by taking off the mask because I should make it easier for you to understand. Yeah, can we circulate? We'll be circulating the 10-point action plan, and the document is self-explanatory. So let's just wait 2 minutes whilst they distribute. Are they distributing it for everybody? Okay, let's just, we want to make sure that everybody has got it, then I can move faster. Can we just circulate from Jongisa, from this side and that side? Let's not give, Shane, let's help distribute quickly, okay? Yeah, so just bear with us for 2 minutes as we circulate the 10-point action plan so that I can go faster, because you will then have the document in front of you. If anybody hasn't got it, just raise your hand and then we'll give it to you. Okay? And particularly for people from the media, as well as those who are watching us on the internet. There's a lady's hand who's up there. She doesn't have. And we can then proceed a bit faster when everybody's got a copy of the. Okay, everybody's got a copy? All right. Well, I see a few hands here from the media. All right. Okay. So you will bear with us, as I said. We'll go a little bit faster because a lot of the presentation is based on what is in the 10-point plan, the CAF 10-point action plan, and so to allow everybody, particularly members of the media, to make their notes based on the document in their possession. So at the end of the presentation, we'll stay behind and answer questions that the media may have. So, as I said, even though I'll go a bit faster, it's on an understanding that if you need questions of clarity, we will deal with those. And we've circulated, made available to some people from our football organizations on the continent, and I will arrange that all of the presidents get a copy who are not here with us. Let me start by expressing my deep gratitude to our minister, Nyomboze. Thank you so much for coming. And what I want is, with your permission, I'm going to recognize a lot of very special guests. If you don't mind, I'm going to ask you, let's clap hands for all of them at the beginning. Let's clap hands for all of our special guests. Okay. From South Africa, from COSAFA, from the continent. So, and I know Robert has done an excellent job in recognizing some of them, and I'll proceed as quickly as I can. My president, President Philip, thank you so much. There's a special history. Always when you hear, there's a special bond between all of us on the continent. Whether you come from West Africa, East Africa, North Africa, Southern Africa, we're all one people. And we share a common history. And I always say that those of us who are from South Africa, we were taught by Mandela to always recognize that we are an integral part of the continent. I mean, South Africa, more than any other country on the African continent, owes its democracy, its freedom to the huge, huge sacrifices by the people on the African continent over many, many years. And that bond that we've got is very important for us going to the future. Danny Jordaan, President, thank you so much, and thanks for the wonderful work. We've been traveling. Danny has lost a lot of weight. We've been traveling all over the continent, and thank you so much for the wonderful work, for the leadership, as well as for your contribution. And I also want, whilst I'm recognizing Danny, recognize our brother, President Willifant, who with Dr. Jordaan and with Dr. Khosa brought the 2010 World Cup to South Africa with the African leadership. We got the World Cup because of Africa. And it's very, very important that we always keep that in mind. Thank you, Dr. Willifant. And then, of course, Evan Khosa, I don't know why they call him Ivan. It is Evan. I don't want to talk too much about Evan because I may have to keep you here longer than what I should. Safe to say that the description of the history of the family, and I always say that, and I remember distinctly when Pirates won the African Champions Cup, my father had lots of engagements on that day, and private engagements. He went and was smiling and said to my mother, "I'm going somewhere special." And she asked him, "Where are you going?" He says, no, I'm going somewhere. Today is a very special day, a historic day. And I understand why, because Orlando, I was born in Orlando, I was born in Soweto, but from a family perspective, Orlando introduced my father to my mother. So there was a deep sense of historical bond. And he went to the airport and saw Dr. Khosa surrounded by all sorts of Pirate supporters. And we saw a beautiful picture because Khosa ran to him and gave him the Champions Cup. Very, very proud. Because for him, over many, many years as a Pirate supporter, it was a very special moment. So I want to thank Dr. Evan Khosa for being here and for the good work he's doing as president of the PSL. I want to thank our brothers, all the presidents who are here, member association presidents. I can't express in words how honored I am and how grateful I am and how grateful all of us are. This is not a Patrice Motsepe undertaking. This is an undertaking by all of us. I know from many years in business, no leader succeeds on his own. A leader is only as good as the quality of people he has the privilege and the honor to work with. So I'm deeply honored and deeply grateful for all of our presidents who are here. Muito obrigado, President. Muito obrigado, President. And can I just ask you that we clap hands? My brother, Pinnick. It's a very special partnership between all of our people on the continent, and a very special relationship between myself and all the presidents, and a very special relationship with my brother from Nigeria. And finally, I want to thank my wife who's here. You know, they say behind every man, my father said, in front of every man is a smarter, brighter, more capable woman who makes him what he is. So thank you so much. And to our wonderful 3 boys who are here. But and our leadership from SAFA, Natasha, our wonderful sister, and the whole leadership, thank you so much. The EXCO of SAFA, can we clap hands for them as well, okay? And then I want to recognize my brother, Moise. Very special history with Moise. Although his club always beats my club, you know, but we are still family. We were not put together by football. Khosa's club, I can't say Khosa's club, I should say the Motsepe family club, because Khosa causes division in the family, you know, serious division. And I don't want members of the Motsepe family to vote whether they like Sundowns or Pirates. I know I'll lose, so I don't ask them for votes because of the DPs. Of course, I'm president of Mamelodi Sundowns until If I'm honored and privileged, I'll have to step aside. But for now, very proud of the wonderful work that my brother, Dr. Khoza, is doing. And Moise, very proud of you. And thank you so much. Moise was in Sudan, came specially from Sudan, because he thought it's important to give a message here that not only of the deep personal ties, but also that we're all Africans. Whether you speak French or Portuguese, that's the beauty, in fact, that all of us can speak different languages. Thanks so much. Now, President Infantino came here a few days ago, and he emphasized the message of unity, and that is very, very important. And I want to take this opportunity to wish all of the candidates, all of my friends and my brothers who are standing as presidents for CAF. My brother from Senegal, my brother from Côte d'Ivoire, my brother from Mauritania. I really wish them all of the best, good health, and we will work together. The requirements of African football can only be achieved, and also the opportunities and the growth when all of us work together. It doesn't matter who wins the presidency. The most important thing is for all of us to work together. And I will give whatever support and cooperation I can. Can we clap hands for them, please? Two quick issues before I go quickly into the 10-point action plan. And because you've got the 10-point action plan, I'm going to go a bit faster. Let me start by correcting a matter of misinterpretation and maybe misinformation and maybe even more than misinformation and misinterpretation. Minister Nathi Mthethwa announced very clearly that if the presidency of CAF is won by a South African, and it's not in our hands, it's in the hands of the presidents of Africa. But if the South African candidate wins, who in fact is not a South African candidate, is an African candidate, we will not move the headquarters of CAF from Cairo to Johannesburg. I mean, Minister Mthethwa made it so clear. 2 days afterwards, I arrived in Cairo, and two of the most prominent leaders, and I don't want to mention their name, came to me and said, but how can your minister say that if you win, we're going to move the CAF headquarters from Cairo to South Africa? So I just for the record, there is no intention, and I am personally committed to make sure that the history, the pride, and the good work that the people of Cairo has done, and of course, the support they've received from Africa remains in place. So there is no intention. I'm not going to be part. My candidacy has got nothing to do with moving the headquarters of CAF from Cairo to South Africa. So I want to correct that. And as I said, the minister said so, I said so, and there's still this misinformation which is not correct. Okay? Yeah. Can I just ask in humility, all of our presidents who are here, let them just stand up and fast to clap hands. The president from Eswatini, can you please stand up? President of Angola, obrigado. President of Benin, President of Mozambique, President of Zimbabwe, and Moise, for today you're also a president. Stand up. Can we clap hands for them, okay? These are all our presidents who are here with us. And of course, our brother from Nigeria, I forget because his family, and of course, our president of COSAFA. Thank you so much. We are so honored. So I've corrected the first, thank you so much. Muito obrigado. Muito obrigado. So I've corrected the first misperception. The second one is that there is, again, misinformation that when I am elected, or when I'm honored to be president of CAF, we are going to use my position as president to undermine, disadvantage, and embarrass Morocco. Incorrect. Totally, totally incorrect. False. And it's very, very important. The rules and regulation of being president of CAF are very clear. And not only do I agree with those rules that you don't pursue politics in sport. Sport is there to unite all our people. So I am going to, at all times, make a humble contribution to use sport to unite all Africans. And I'll tell you more in terms of some of the issues in relation to the importance of sport. So I believe in the policies that we should use sports to unite, to create jobs, to create a better future. And also, under no circumstances will my presidency be used to disrespect, to undermine, to embarrass any country, whether it's Morocco or any other country. And as I said, I need to correct this because it's misinformation. In fact, the opposite is true. I am going to work hard to use football to unite all of our people on the continent and work together and build ties and cooperation. And of course, I grew up in Nelson Mandela's political party organization. I have to respect the rules, the policies of my organization. And I have to respect the rules and policies of my government. And at all times, I will respect the rules, the laws of my organization, Nelson Mandela's organization, and I will also respect the rules and policies of my government. And I will not go public. You are, as a disciplined member of the ANC, you never go public to contradict your organization. Even if there are policies in there that you may not be enthusiastic about, but those are our organizational policies and you've got to respect them. Having said that, under no circumstances is my position as president of CAF going to be used to embarrass, undermine any organization. And that is not only something I believe in, it's also an obligation and a duty I have as part of the rules and obligations of CAF and the rules and obligations of FIFA. Now, we are going to go into the presentation very quickly. Two quick other issues. What am I doing in football? You know, when I was approached and told, you must stand, I can't tell you what I told them because there are some young people around. But, you know, we are so busy. And I'm at the stage of my life where what I enjoy the most is the work of the philanthropy, which is led by my wife and the Motsepe Foundation and the wonderful work that my sons are playing in there. And I see Nkosana. Nkosana, you must come and help in your family foundation, just like they must come and help in the family foundation in Orlando and Dube and Orlando Pirates and, of course, Kaizer Chiefs as well and Amazulu, because I've got to unite everybody. So the point I'm making is that, you know, they came, I was asked 3-4 times, will you stand as president of CAF? I said, no, absolutely not. Because I've got enough challenges and enough headaches in my life. And the problem is, when I focus on doing something, it requires a lot of hard work, it requires a lot of sacrifice, and more importantly, it requires tangible, visible, accessible progress. You know, I'm sometimes honored that a number of the biggest companies in the world, they come and say, we want you to serve on our board. And I said, but what contribution am I going to make there? If I cannot make a contribution, there are other people who are better suited than I am. So after several discussions and meetings, I realized that in partnership with all of the presidents of Africa, in partnership with the CAF Exco, in partnership with all of my brothers and sisters here, there is indeed a unique role that all of us can play, taking into account the unique role of football in the hearts and minds of our people. And it's important, we've got what I call the 95% rule. So if I'm honored and privileged to be elected president of CAF, 95% of our discussions will be about football. Because I love football. We love football. I don't think there's anybody in Africa who's lost more money in football than I have. It's stupid love, you know, stupid, irresponsible, and sometimes, sometimes I've got to sign the check very quickly because if I see what the number is, and in fact, I mustn't even talk to my advisors, particularly when we buy players. But that's the beauty of the sport. But more than that, football has a role to play. And that's why I'm saying 95% of what we're going to talk about is about football. And African football must become the best in the world, will become the best in the world. It's not going to happen overnight. Nothing that's worth it happens overnight. But the test of what we are going to do over the next few years, you know, what happens in football? If we play soccer or football and we don't score goals, it doesn't matter how beautiful the sport is. You don't win. So we have to win. We have to win. And Africa has proven that we've got some of the best players in the world. So one of the strategies is to try and build the quality, the integrity, the competitiveness, the sustainability of football in Africa to be able to compete against some of the best in the world. Now, to talk and have all of these fancy ideas, it's wonderful. But what's more important is, what are we doing? What are the results? So the test for me is not so much what we are talking about now, it's what the results are going to be 2, 3, 4 years from now. Because, you know, like in 90 minutes, you've got to win in the 90 minutes. And all of us have to succeed, and the buck stops with the president. You've got to take responsibilities for failures and successes, whether you know, whether you don't know. So I'm absolutely confident that together, and there's some opportunities and there's some preliminary discussions that we've had, we will indeed, as the topic says, as our slogan says, make African football the best in the world. And when I talk to the presidents of football and my people like Moise and others over the next few years, they are the judges. They are the people who will tell you, we think we are making progress. And the opposite is true. It's not what I think. I may think that, wow, we are making good progress. But the test is what they think. So I want to conclude by saying, remember the 95% rule, because sometimes when I talk about, you cannot separate football excellence, football competitiveness from economic growth, development, job creation, investment, and the growth of the African economy. You cannot. The two go hand in hand. So I don't want to bore people talking about how we are going to create jobs and how we get investment and how and sponsorship is important. How we get the private sector to support and to sponsor. I looked at some of the SAFA. Look at SAFA. Because part of the issue as well is, you know, every African country, everyone, from Cape Town to Cairo, from Lagos to Nairobi, West Africa, East Africa, there has to be tangible progress and success, both in terms of the quality of football. And you will see at the end of the document, we talk about Pele talked in 1990. My brothers always remind us. In 1990, Pele said by the year 2000, an African club will win the World Cup. An African nation will win the World Cup. And as Dr. Jordaan was saying, we were in Russia 2 years ago, and we did not qualify from the first round. But the talent is there. TV rights is an important thing. You know, I saw something interesting. We spend so much money on the continent watching our own players play in Europe. But we don't spend equally a lot of money when they play for our national teams and when they play for our clubs in the continent. There's an exciting opportunity. So one of the issues is we're going to have to talk to the private sector, because the businesses that I'm associated with, we do business in 40 countries in Africa. So we succeed in Africa. We've got a duty to give back to Africa. And the way to give back is not to hold a gun to the head of the CEO of a company, but to talk nicely and persuade him. When you like, you know, I've already got the woman I love, and I'm talking to my boys and Nkosana as well. When you see a girlfriend you like, talk nicely with her. Talk nicely, persuade, you know, impress her, and you will succeed. So we're going to do the same with the private sector and say, guys, you make billions of rands. Come, and it's good for your business. So I want to conclude by saying 5% of what I talk about, and this is one of the things that excited me about the legacy we can build together on the African continent. We've got 280 million young boys and girls between the ages of 15 and 24. 280. A few days ago, I was driving in Kinshasa with my son, Moise, I mean, I tell you, we were driving in Kinshasa on Saturday, and there were thousands of people at night on the streets, dancing, singing, buying, making food. And they're trying to make a living, but we've got to provide a job for those people. And football has a unique role to play, not just in terms of the future it gives to our players and those who are involved in the African continent, but also a sense of pride. When Nigeria, Pinnick, won the Olympics in 1996, when Cameroon won the Olympics in 2000, that wasn't a victory for Nigeria only. That wasn't a victory for Cameroon only. It was a victory for Africa. And when an African nation is going to win the World Cup, and an African nation is going to win, Moise went further than all of us ever have. In the FIFA Club World Cup Championship, Moise wasn't playing for the DRC, he was playing for Africa. And we want Moise to go one step further. TP Mazembe must not just be in the final, TP Mazembe can win. And it gives pride, it gives dignity. We use sports, just like the people in Barcelona use football as a means of asserting their pride and dignity and their culture. Just like historically in South Africa, our brothers and sisters who are Afrikaans speaking use rugby. And of course, sports unites all of our people. All right, the final thing I want to say before I rush through the 10-point plan, and I want to repeat, you've got the document, so I'm not going to go in detail because you've got it there, you can read it, is to emphasize the issue of governance and ethics. There are many companies all over the world who want to give money to football, but they want to be comfortable that the money will not go into the pocket of the leadership of football, and that the money will indeed be used to develop, to grow, to contribute towards the improvement in the quality of football in Africa. In the 10-point plan, you will see that we talk about certain specific things that we have to do. But more importantly, we put timelines. There are certain things that have to be done by a certain time period. I'm told that, in fact, if you look at the Constitution, CAF meets, all of the presidents meets once a year. Now you can't. When we are busy with fundamental reform, we need to have at least 2 meetings a year with all of the presidents. The best ideas in terms of how to improve, to develop, to make African football globally competitive, and globally competitive means it's quality football. It can South African and African clubs and Nigerian clubs and clubs from the DRC, football clubs, can compete against the best in the world. The best ideas, the people who know what we need to do in every country, are the presidents and the leadership of football in that country. And they are the best to tell us what the failures are, what the successes are. We have to change and improve physically, tangibly, practically, in terms of the infrastructure, and it's linked as well. It's linked to the youth. It's linked to our academies, and it's linked to schools football. And Danny was talking about, we started the K. Motsepe after my mother, national schools football competition in South Africa, and there's about 7,500 schools that participate in the schools football. It's not just because of the passion we have in football, but because the future of football in Africa is our youth, both young boys and young girls. And the final thing I want to say is that there isn't this policy that one shoe fits all. The requirements of football development and growth and global competitiveness and sustainability. Sustainability means profitability. We want football in every country to be sustainable. And better still, Moise, if you can make money out of it, even better. But you must stop using the money of your wife and children. I mean, we've got this never end. It's a bottomless pit. And the only reason we do that is because we are passionate. We love the sport. But in our case, it's also, for us as a family, football is also a means to give back. To give back to the people of this country, to give back to the people of the continent who've made us what we are. I think I can now go and sit down. So I want you to look at what I'm saying now quickly, okay? You know, all of the pictures I see of myself, hey man, I become uglier and uglier and uglier. And of course, my poor wife keeps saying I become more handsome. And she's stuck with me, so she's got to keep saying, no, you are still okay. But the hair is gone, and you'll see in some of the pictures, the hair is still there.
You look fabulous.
Okay, so now this is Mamelodi Sundowns. I'm going to go a little bit faster so that we can take questions. This is Mamelodi Sundowns when we won the Champions League in 2016. Natasha, Angelo, the Crocs, Zola Mahobe, Dr. Itzwing, Sebotsani, all of the previous people who've made that club what it is, we are deeply indebted to them. And we will always be indebted with them and the people of Tswane and the people of South Africa. So this was a great honor for us. And then when we brought Barcelona to play in South Africa, that's Lionel Messi, because we have to compete against the best in the world. That's how you know how ready you are, okay? So you'll read the statements, it's in there. Let me just make sure, because sometimes I'm going to tell there's something I should have said that I didn't say. Now, let me see. Okay, what I said is within the first 9 to 12 months, we are going to visit, and this is important. Within the first 9 to 12 months, I'm going to visit every single African country, everyone, and sit down with the leadership and talk about how do we, what are the priority development and growth projects? Because there may be 10 things we can do. But what are the 3 most important changes, interventions, measures we can take to make a significant improvement in the quality of football in the country, but also to get more supporters to come to the stadium, to watch us on TV, and to get the private sector? Because we need money from the private sector. I mean, I will say in front of my brother here from Nigeria, one of the things we're going to do is to talk to our brothers in MTN. And I don't want to mention other companies. Say, but, you know, we are family. We make so much money out of Nigeria. Let's put a little bit, and it's good for business. We will make more money. I know in the businesses we're involved in, we make more money when we give more, when we invest more, when ordinary people in those countries feel that, look at what these people are doing. Not what they say, look at what they're doing. And we should support them and buy from them. So in the next 9 to 12 months, it's also important that we get every country in Africa to think about sustainability and to think about how do they become self-supporting. Okay, now the next one is when Algeria won the Nations Cup, very good. Some of the Algerian players play overseas. And then, of course, our very own Pitso Mosimane. Excellent work. I was very proud when I went to Doha a few weeks ago to see one of our own South African projects. It inspires many other young coaches. Say, oh, look at what Pitso is doing. I can also go to that level. And we want Pitso to go even to higher levels. Now that's you see, just like Orlando Pirates is a family club. There's the other one. Can you see it? TP Mazembe. Okay, that's why you know, I always say that I went to a mission school, a Catholic school in the Cape, far away from here. I went there when I was 5 years old, and there was the very English, and the Catholic priest said to me, "Your name is not Patrice, it's Patrick. You know, this is an English country." And my father said to me, "If I wanted to call you Patrick, I would have called you Patrick." You know, there's somebody called Patrice Lumumba in the DRC. So very, very important. So when TP Mazembe does well, it's something that makes all of us very proud. And those who know our history, Philip, we are all one people. These borders are artificial. We are all one people. Siyabatshela laba amaswati ahlala lapha eSouth Africa. Ingwenyama yabo ihlala ngale. King Swati. is the king of all of us. Do you understand that, Bomba? There's no king. I know that some people in Soweto think they're kings because there's no Swazi king in Soweto, so I'm the Swazi king. No. The border is artificial. The king of the Sothos is in Lesotho. We are all one people. The border, Philip, between our two countries divides families across the line. The DRC, I was in Rwanda 2 weeks ago. There's a restaurant called Inyoni. In Rwanda. What does Inyoni mean? It means the same thing in South Africa as it means in Rwanda. Bird. Ask them, go to Katanga, ask them to tell you the languages, the names of things. Those are the same names we have in South Africa. Back to football now. Now, the other thing is, we've got to increase the prize money. When Moise and Pirates and Chiefs, I must be careful, I must also mention Chiefs, because it's also another wing of the family. In the family we've got communists, we've got capitalists, we've got all of these people. And as long as we pray together and eat together, it's fine. Now, you've got, the prize money for winning the Champions League. We've got to increase it. And we can increase it. Because, we can pay the players more, and we can use some of that money to help us with the transport and all of the other expenses. So we've got to increase the prize money. The president of Total, the global company, his name is Patrick. I don't know how do you have a Frenchman with the name Patrick. Now, he's a friend. We know each other. We are part of the World Economic Forum. We are part of the IBC. He's one of the first people I'm going to visit. And I shouldn't maybe say it on TV. Don't cover that on TV, okay? Because it's a private discussion. But we need more prize money. And of course, the important thing is, we've got to restructure the CAF Africa Cup of Nations in the next 2 years. Now, there was some discussion that it should take place once every 4 years. My apologies. Or whether it should take place once every 2 years. Now, I personally think it should take place every 2 years. But, I have to be guided by the other presidents. And that's why we need a workshop with all of the presidents to talk about what are the priority issues. But as far as the African Cup of Nations is concerned, the CAF, Africa Cup of Nations, it takes place every 2 years. I know that there was discussions that it should take place every 4 years. I personally think as a starting point, it should remain every 2 years. We need the money. We need the money from the CAF competitions. And the club competition, the one that Moise has won many times, TP Mazembe, the prime club competition, add more prize money. Add more prize money for the Africa Cup of Nations as well, the AFCON Cup. So we will restructure these in the next 2 years, both the Africa Cup of Nations as well as the Champions League. Sorry, I'm changing things here rather than there. You can see those wonderful pictures. Now comes the issue of, look at it, implementing and adhering to governance and auditing global best practices. Now, this is non-negotiable. This is non-negotiable. Governance, transparency, ethics, auditing global best practices. Now, you've got to be very careful. You can't hope to be a president of an organization and you spend most of your time talking down or criticizing. What you have to do with a sense of humility is to recognize there's some good work that has been done over many years by previous presidents. In our culture, you never condemn a previous president, well, irrespective of your differences with him. So my starting point is to pay my respects to President Isahayatu. Say, good work. And to pay my respect to Ahmad. That's our culture. To say, you made a contribution. And to say, how do we work together? And the leadership of CAF, the CAF Exco, the starting point is to say, let's all work together and improve on those areas where there are weaknesses. You don't start by, it's like having an uncle in the family who's an alcoholic. It's not the aunt, it's usually the uncles. You don't start by saying, look at this alcoholic. Look at how embarrassing he is. He's your uncle. Say, okay, uncle, Let's work on these issues. Let's see how we rehabilitate you. So the document there talks about FIFA. I mean, the governance policies of FIFA are an excellent guide, and of course we've got to comply with them. But the objective must be global best practices. And I can tell you, when we do that, in every country, SAFA, in Nigeria, in Algeria, in Zimbabwe, in Mozambique, the good work that all of you are doing, we will get support and partnerships from the private sector. When we show them, come, let's talk about how do we make it more transparent, more compliant with governance, more compliance with auditing, global best practices. And they will support. And the same applies with CAF. And that's what I'm saying. One of the first things we have to do, and again, there's some good people who work at CAF. There's some good executives at CAF. There's some great employees. And also, but we recognize that there's a need for change there as well. We should increase the efficiency and the professionalism, both of the staff that works for CAF, and that's very important, but also of the competitions. You know, the way we run the AFCON, the way we run the Champions League. Dr. Jordaan was talking about the game that we attended, where the VAR was supposed to be there, but they didn't plug it into the electricity system. So when the referee had to run and look at the VAR, I don't know what he saw there, you know, because the thing was not connected. Now, who is here now? Oh, that's one of my sons here, you know, at the World Economic Forum. And why I'm talking about the World Economic Forum, because this is one of the best institutions in the world in relation to, will you put back that thing there, please, will you put it back so that, Alex, you are very tall, so that, you know, there's no perception that the CAF logo, Alex, just 1 minute. It's supposed to cover that. Okay. Yeah, you see, cover that sign there, because somebody got too enthusiastic. Just cover it quickly. Yeah, you don't have to stay there all the time. Eh? Okay. Perfect. Okay. Just click it there. Because there are certain requirements, and you don't want, I think that's perfect. Okay. All right. What else now? Investing in African football infrastructure. Now, this thing about one shoe fits all. Some of the countries in Africa has got world-class football infrastructure. South Africa has got world-class football infrastructure. Egypt has got world-class football infrastructure. Morocco has got world-class football infrastructure. Nigeria, Angola, many countries have, but others don't. So part of the issue is to see how do we build and make that infrastructure in every country world-class. And we will need the private sector there. And one of the things we've got to look at, which is important, when you build a stadium, and this is the private sector talking, don't just build a stadium. Build a shopping center to be part of that stadium. Build a hotel to be part of that stadium. Build residential places to be part of that stadium. Build office blocks to be part of that stadium. Build restaurants to be part of that stadium. It becomes sustainable. So one of the plans that we're going to come with is to look at some of the countries where, as part of the infrastructure development, we can make them part of a commercially sustainable and profitable partnership. There's nothing that would make me more happy than to go to Katanga, the province of my home, or the home where Lumumba comes from, and take that beautiful stadium you have, but build a sustainable, profitable, commercial infrastructure there. And you will find the private sector says, but we want to be part of that. And some of them have come to me, and this is interesting. There are already people in the private sector who said to me, you know, we hear that you might stand to be president. You know what? if you do proceed, we want to come and talk to you and talk about how we can do these partnerships. And you can make your girls and boys infrastructure academies and infrastructure development facilities part of this stadium that's a multi-purpose development and commercially viable project. Now I have to show the stadiums quickly. Now this is the stadium in Morocco, beautiful. The stadium in Nigeria, wonderful. Zimbabwe, Rufaro. President, can you see Rufaro?
I can see.
There was a song called Harari that was played in South Africa in the late years. And there's no Harari in South Africa. They were inspired by Harari and Rufaro in our home country. All right? Now this is part of investing in our youth and the future. Look at that young 11-year-old. This is the Sundowns. I took this from the Sundowns because, you know, part of getting the young boys and girls to play football. And then this is the under-17 from Cameroon when they won the Africa Cup of Nations. And this is the CAF Motsepe National Schools Football Competition. Very, very important. One of the reasons why South Africa has won the Rugby World Cup 3 times, one of the reasons why South African rugby has won the World Cup, the Rugby World Cup 3 times, is because the infrastructure at schools, the young boys and girls who play rugby at the schools, is world class. We've got to do the same for football. And, you know, when we grew up, teenage Gaga, Jomosono, all of the top players came from high school football. And we can do the same. And of course, growing women's football, critically important. We're going to have investments there, get the private sector. We are going to call a meeting, and Sue must be part of that meeting, with all of the stakeholders in African women's football. Our member association presidents, Natasha, Wageshu, all of them, to sit and say, what do we do to make women's football in the continent? Because you know what is interesting? Somebody was saying to me, we stand a higher chance, Pinnick, because your women's football in Nigeria has won immensely. If you look at the 2019 FIFA women's competition in France, the African women did exceptionally well. And I was told that we have a great chance of having an African women's club team becoming world champions. But they need, if we think that there's a problem as far as money is concerned and sustainability for the male sport, when it comes to the female sport and the women's sports and the girl sports in football, even more so. Now this is Nigeria, Pinnick. You see the goal they scored there? If you look closely, you can see the goal that they scored, if you keep looking. Okay? And now you look at, now the issue of referees. Referees are crucial, absolutely crucial. And of course, referees are human as well. They do make genuine mistakes. But we have to support, train, and you will see that we talk about rolling out this agreement between CAF and FIFA to train referees, to make sure the standards is world-class, and to make sure that the integrity of the referees is maintained. And you know, it's like the policeman, it's like the teacher. We should pay them more, you know, and pay them competitively. Okay, now this is a woman referee. I know sometimes when I fly around, I've got women pilots who fly, and they're better than the men pilots. So I think the women referees, yeah, the women's referees are world class. Okay, now we also want VAR, and in all of the CAF competitions, in all of the CAF intercontinental or all of the clubs that play football, senior CAF competitions, we must have VAR, and we must make sure. And this is the statutory reforms. One of the things I want is sooner after election, I want the meeting of the CAF Exco, but I also want the meeting of everybody who's not just part of the CAF Exco. Presidents who are not part of the CAF Exco, to talk about what changes, what statutory changes must be introduced. And this is not, we can't talk about what we need to do and not do it. It has to happen. It will happen. And again, you know, we should also try and convince and persuade people that this new dispensation, this new partnership is good for them. Okay, now this is, Gianni is doing an excellent job. The leadership of FIFA, excellent job. Very, very honored, and we will keep working with them, and also with all of the other continental football associations, whether it's the Football Association from South America, from Oceania, from North and Central America, the European Football Association, we will be working with all of them. Now, Pinnick, see when Nigeria won in 1996. So what I want to finish here, I'm stepping off football, and I'm going to show quick pictures, is to say that the future for African football has never been brighter. You know, there's a time for everything. And I know sometimes in business I've made mistakes when there was a time for me to grow and to do an exciting business transaction. And because we didn't see it, you know, we were not sure, it came and it left. And the opposite is also true. Sometimes when we kept working and kept pursuing, those are the areas where we've done well. So I must tell you, I would not have made myself available, because the problem is, you know, I also have my name to protect. 4 years from now, when they're going to say, okay, fine, you had this businessman who was president of CAF, what has changed? So I'm excited that we will succeed and make African football globally competitive. We will succeed and make African football self-sustaining. And we will give confidence to the nations of Africa. When they compete in the FIFA World Cup, they will know that they can compete and win, both the men and the women. Now, the last thing I have to show apparently is to say Patrice Motsepe, the philanthropist, because many people were asking, who is this guy that wants to come to football? Who is he? And many of them don't know me quite correctly. And it's a learning process. That's why we've been traveling all over the continent to meet with people. And I think what has been very beneficial for me is to listen, more than to tell them what my thinking is. To listen to the presidents, how we can together make African football the best in the world. And you'll see that in this 10-point action plan, a lot of the ideas there are from them. This is when we had a meeting with former President Mandela in terms of a humble contribution. The next one is with Barack Obama. I'm going to show Barack Obama and stop there now. Because we can't talk, and we shouldn't talk about certain issues that were misunderstood. You know, sometimes in life, you say one thing, people understand it to be saying something else. And then when you want to correct it, they say, no, you must take the bullet for Africa. Just take the bullet now. Just take the bullet. So I don't know whether I can say. And the last thing I want to say, remember, in English, the word you, and this is an important issue, the word you is both singular and plural. So when I say, I love my wife, it means I love her. But when I say I love all of you, I also say I love you. There's no plural for you. So when I say I love Barack Obama, it also means I love all of the people of America. But anyway, that's not the issue for now. Okay, and this is very important, because I've also learned going into Africa that religion, you know, it's not just language, it's also religion that plays such an important role in football. So we've been working with all of the religions in South Africa for many years. And simply because I have been made by people who are Catholic, who are Anglican, who are Muslim, who are Jewish, who are members of the Zion Christian Church. They made me. And they made all of us. And we're all children of God. So I never knew, as I walk around and I was told that there are divisions in Africa, that no, I belong to this religion and I associate with people who belong to this religion. And those who belong to others I don't associate with. So what we are trying to do is to emphasize that part of what we are doing in Africa is to use football as well to encourage the beauty of multiculturalism, multi-language, lingual background of all of us, multiracial, as well as those of us who come from different religious backgrounds, and use football to build on that. And there's Dr. Ivan Koza's, our bishop. We've got Archbishop Thabo Makgoba and, of course, Archbishop Barnabas. We work with all of the religious organizations, the 35 largest religious organizations, and we've got projects with them. And of course, the first thing we ask them, please pray for us, because we need your prayers. And the picture below is the 40,000 people who always come to our National Day of Prayer. And the National Day of Prayer, the Motsepe Foundation National Day of Prayer, is shown live in how many countries? 34 countries. Now comes this beautiful thing. We've been giving children footballs over the last 20 years as part of the Motsepe Foundation Christmas with Our People. Oh, where's the picture now? Oh, it's there. I was looking at that one there and I thought it hasn't moved. The one I should look at is there. So we give children, we've given 800,000 children, footballs. Every one of those footballs cost about 50 rands or 60 rands. And I was so proud when I went to the Eastern Cape in February. And I saw young boys and girls playing football in the streets with the football they got from the Motsepe Foundation in December. The future Drogba ethos of Africa are going to come from there. And then, of course, we're involved in netball, Motsepe Foundation, and that's the picture where, Koza, you can still see our bishop there. The picture where we sponsored, the Motsepe Foundation was involved in the 2018 Mandela 100 celebrations, and we made a commitment of about, the total amount was about $243 million for land reform, multiracial, inclusive, because we have a challenge in our country in terms of making land available to black people, historically excluded people, and to all our people, both black and white, in a manner that gives confidence and creates a future for everybody. And then there we are with our king, because we work with traditional leaders as well, have got development projects all over Southern Africa. I was honored in 2017 when Forbes was celebrating 100 years of its establishment, and I was recognized as one of the 100 greatest living business minds. And the first thing I said was, I can identify 100 African business people who are smarter, brighter, more successful than I ever could be. And those 100 African business people should have been recognized as one of the 100 greatest living business minds. Okay? And that's where I'm with your friend there. And they were saying that I wear ties too much. So I thought, let me give them a picture where I'm a mine worker. So this is where we went underground, because we come from a business family. And one of the things we've learned at a very young age is many times you've got to come down from this senior position and go down at grassroots level and see what goes on and learn and get exposed. So I have had to spend time over the years engaging with the mine workers. And when they want a pay increase, they say to me, can we go underground, please? So that you can go and see how tough it is there. Because we know when you come out, you will want to give us 100% pay increase. But the mine workers of this country are very special, just like all of the workers of South Africa. Am I finished now? Now, this is when we won the cup. And then there's another one there. But I like, Ronaldinho is there. My son was very excited when Barcelona came for the first time in 2007. And then the last one is Matorokis. That one called Haka Matorokisi Haka. Haka Matorokisi Haka. So this is where we were singing. And when the supporters sing, you forget that you've got an overdraft. You just keep going, how Matorokis? How Matorokis? Thank you so much. I am so honored. We will take questions. Can we clap hands for everybody, please? Thank you. So I just want to conclude as Rob comes up. Please, we'll be around. Those who want to ask questions from the media will do so. But those, I know some have asked that we should stay around for a few more minutes and ask questions privately. We are here so that we can allow those who want to eat, because I know there's some people who came very early in the morning. We can release them to go and have something to eat. But we'll be guided by Robert. Robert is the boss and in control, so we will proceed under your leadership to take whatever questions they want. Some of the questions maybe to my president, maybe to my minister, and maybe to Danny and Dr. Khoza. And then, as I said, Rob, when you are satisfied that we've answered all the questions, we'll stay behind for those who might have questions. Can we clap hands for Robert, please? Thank you. Thank you.
I know it's a press conference, ladies and gentlemen, but I think given the magnitude of today's occasion, we will move slightly off tune and ask everyone to give Dr. Patrice Motsepe a big round of applause. On www.drpatricemotsepe for CAF Presidency.org/WN, you will be able to get the entire document that he's just presented. Even you can get it at the .com, so Dr. Patrice Motsepe for CAFpresidency.com, and you'll get the entire layout if you are watching this live. I know the members here of the media do have the hard copies in hand. And given the nature of social media, I mean, he's not a person Doc, who is part of the media contingency. But Mapega shared this view. He says, I just wish Mr. Motsepe will win this race and fix the CAF TV rights saga. If it continues like this, our kids will never know CAF competitions. So that, again, is a very strong and poignant message to say the visibility of the game needs to be there more often. So thank you so much, Mapega, for sending that out. It's pretty straightforward. We'll conduct the Q&A. You'll put your hand up, and by virtue of identifying yourself by your name and also which media house you represent, we will then take very brief questions to Dr. Patrice Motsepe or any of the members that are here on the table. We'll also be monitoring what's happening with the other members of the media who have been following and tracking this online. They have already submitted their questions, and we will share that. So there will be a roving microphone that will be coming around to you. So quick show of hands, and I'll identify. So let's start right there. Correct.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Good morning to all of you. I'm originally from Chad. I'm French also, and my daughter is American and from DRC. I'm here because living in Europe, in America, in France, I heard very interesting stuff about how Dr. Motsepe is going to grow African basketball. We said that Africans didn't win any World Cup. They won it. The French team that won that was Africa. The problem is because we don't have infrastructures enough. And I work with an academy in Atlanta called Kalonji Soccer Academy. For a long time, we always wanted to grow those young kids who are mostly African from the diaspora in the US to identify with African team. Tipe Mazembe from Mr. Katumbi, Mamelodi Sundowns. And I was always saying, why should we go all the way praising PSG, Manchester United? Why don't we just have our own people here doing excellent jobs? I come from a sports marketing background, working for Coca-Cola on the first World Cup with France, working with Nike, and we have some people from Angola, and I'm sure you know Mr. Tony Sofrimento. We talk about sponsorship. It was very difficult back then. I left Nike just to come and join the Angola Federation. And
sorry, sir, I am going to push you for a question. Otherwise, we'll be here the entire afternoon. With respect,
sorry,
I'll push you for that question.
Okay. Question one, merchandising and also the diaspora and TV rights, how people in Europe and Africa can, and American can see the CAN, because that was a big problem. We couldn't see it when we were overseas. Two, 20 years after, can we expect Africa to host another World Cup in 2030? And three, Ethiopia is also building the biggest stadium in Africa. And I'm going to finish on this one. The World Cup in South Africa was the most profitable World Cup for FIFA, which means that behind Dr. Patrice Motsepe, and that's why I called our President Mokhtar Mahmoud in Chad and Kadri Salah, his VP, I told them, March 12, cast your vote for Dr. Patrice Motsepe. That's why I'm here.
Thank you very much. Would you like to attack it straight away, or would you want to take a few rounds of questions first?
Let's take 5.
Okay, perfect. All right, let's take, I saw another hand directly, okay, right at the back, perfect.
Good afternoon. I'm Alena Tanganyere from Vision View Sports and TI Media. First of all, I would like to congratulate Dr. Patrice Motsepe for taking that very bold step in serving the continent, because we know that we cannot pay you for that. And also to thank you for the strong team that you have in place. On the continent, it's not easy for someone to stand up to take leadership position without persecution. I have 2 questions, sir. One is just to clear some of the misinformation which have been running in the media. Actually, before coming to this meeting, I had a meeting with other journalists who could not make it here. So I'll also speak on their behalf. There is a misinformation that has been running, or is it misinformation or not? I read it at Infomedia24 and other agencies. They say that irrespective of how good you are, you did sign a contract with the devil. And from that article, which was Infantino, to bring in Samura Fatma as Secretary General of CAF once you are elected. So I would really like that clarification on that to be brought. And also the last question, which has to do with broadcast rights on the continent. We make reference to the Lagadier instance, for instance. I think that has also greatly affected AFIS on the continent from a revenue stream perspective. What steps would you take in that regard? And to be precise, would you fall for the FIFA or Infantino proposed Wandak Chinese company? Thank you.
Thank you. It's working? Okay. Good afternoon. I'm Claire Bargelès, working for Radio France International. I wanted to ask you, Mr. Motsepe, during this election, you were often pictured, and you're often pictured as a candidate from the FIFA, backed by Infantino. I wanted to know a bit how do you react about that?
Can I ask you to repeat that? Maybe just speak a bit closer, because you do have your mask on, just so that we can hear you.
It will be better, sorry.
Thank you.
So I'm Claire Bargelès for Radio France International. I wanted to ask you, how do you feel about the fact that during this election you're often pictured as the candidate from the FIFA, backed by Gianni Infantino, and backed by the World Organization? So what is your feeling about this the picture?
Okay, thank you. Have we got a mic there? Perfect. I will come to you, Benji.
Good afternoon. My name is Macy Mutaung from Social Ngove Community Radio Station. I'm the sports presenter there. I've got only 2 questions to ask the President. Before I can continue, I'd like to say thank you to Mamelodi Sundowns Football Club or Mamelodi Sundowns family for laying my cousin to rest in dignity, Mojaka Madisha. First question is, with the football progression in the it's great to see how Mamelodi Sundowns has been involved in women's football, and even seeing CAF 10 points action plan involving women's football. That's where my passion lies. So I want to know that, I want to ask the President, Dr. Patrice Motsepe, since the current SAFA National Women's League champions, the Mamelodi Sundowns ladies team, are the ones that will open the doors for the women's football in South Africa and throughout Africa. What are the plans going forward in making sure that, or you improving women's football in Africa and in the whole continent? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Macy. Let's take, Benjamin, you've been waiting.
Thank you so much, Darob. Good afternoon, Dr. Motsepe. Just two questions for you. Benjamin from Newsroom Africa. First of all, why has it taken this long to present your 10-point action plan? Just 15 days to the election itself. Does it not perhaps handicap your campaign in some way? And secondly, you mentioned Morocco earlier, and that yours is not to embarrass Morocco. There's a general perception that Morocco has, for lack of a better term, hijacked African football. How do you plan to reverse that in the nicest possible way, or at least do away with the misconception, if it is a misconception? Thank you. All right.
Let's, I think, take answers for those. In the meantime, I know that there was still space for one more, but they are loaded questions here and there, but we'll try and ask the members as well, like we said, to try and have a main question or two, so that we can try and get through as many of them as possible. The first one, I think we got a sense of the issues around merchandising, hosting of another World Cup in South Africa, what the possibilities of that are, and also South Africa being a very profitable World Cup hosting nation. So maybe we start with that.
Yeah. So I think the two of you. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
You can. Can I ask Dr. Koza and Dr. Jordaan, much more experience and I think better place to respond to that important. Excellent question. Dr. Jordaan?
Thank you. There is one African country and there's a lot of reference to Morocco. Morocco has tried on 5 occasions to host the World Cup. The last World Cup was 2010 and we're now in 2021. Of course, the 2026 World Cup is with United States, Mexico, and Canada. So the next opportunity is 2030. And therefore, I think it is an opportunity for Africa. But as the point was raised, we must not forget the Women's World Cup. Maybe Africa should look at hosting the Women's World Cup, which will also be a 32-nation event. The Men's World Cup in 2030 will be a 48-nations World Cup. And so I don't think any single country can host the World Cup on the continent. And so the continent must begin to explore co-hosting. If Mexico, United States, and Canada, with all the infrastructure, says that 2026, with 48 nations, is not for the United States alone, then Africa must look and explore the possibility of a joint bid for 2030, and that, I think, after the elections, the new executive will apply their mind, as well as a bid for a 32 nations Women's World Cup.
On issues of merchandise, is a very interesting challenge for the continent. And in my comments earlier on, I said to the President, one of the things we must look at is the product. One of the things we neglect in the continent is to strengthen our leagues. Because if you look at most of the countries in the continent, when the EPL is playing, people of those countries, they are wearing the merchandise of the EPL teams, not the jerseys of the local teams, because our leagues are not competitive enough to maintain that top of mind presence in the minds of the supporters. Therefore, it's very important that leagues are strengthened in the continent for that merchandise to be able to be sold, so that the national team also gets spin-offs, because all the time the local product is top of mind, of the supporters of respective countries in the continent. And the issues also for TV rights, and I indicated that the issues of the product is very important. There's a shrinking media space in terms of content democratization. People have got choice. There's YouTube, there's OTT, there's live streaming. All those things are taking away viewerships from the linear television that you used to know. So what is it that we do that will remain competitive in attracting sponsorships in terms of broadcasting rights? Because they are competitive in terms of making sure we compete against the best product in the world. If you don't create that kind of product, because if you see in most of the countries in the continent, we wait until the event happens in the weekend. We wait until the national team plays at the date appointed by CAF or FIFA. But there's nothing happening in between in terms of creating products, creating the debate. And I always say to people, what is it that we're selling in football? We are selling conversation. If you don't sustain conversation, therefore you're going to get conversation elsewhere, and it's going to take away from your platforms, which is supposed to be traditional platforms in your respective countries. So for me, it's one of the first things that I think must be entertained and encouraged to create that kind of demand that I've seen happening in my country. We remain resilient and make sure that we remain competitive against the best products in the world, and make sure that our TV products becomes equally or same with the rest of the world. So my suggestion is that in the imbizo that the President is talking about, is one of the things that must be investigated to make sure that the use of merchandising and broadcast rights becomes relevant. Thank you.
Yeah, I think I just want to deal with this concept that one federation in 54 nations on the continent can hijack the organization. There is no such concept. I think when you drive your car and somebody comes with guns and hijacks your car, it can't happen in a democratic organization. It cannot. Maybe a nice headline, but it's not real. What happens, there are 54 countries. Each one has a vote. The matter is debated, and whether a particular country wants to host an event, it is then up to the vote, and a democratic decision is taken. And so we must not blame any country. Specifically, Morocco has made also a tremendous contribution to African football. They are now hosting the under-17 AFCON. I don't know if you've seen the quality of the infrastructure. Their academy is probably one of the best on the continent. Its medical, scientific infrastructure and the professionals who work there is just amazing. The scanning of the body, the analysis of the athlete before they start training is equal only to the Aspire Academy in Doha, in Qatar, and equal to Barcelona, Man United, in terms, and Bayern Munich in terms of that academy and the sophisticated infrastructure that's there. So, did Morocco, anybody hijack CAF? No, I'm a vice president of CAF. I sit there and we have taken decisions. There are vigorous debates, and my friend and comrade Pinnick is here. He's not a man who spares the truth. But in the end, the democratic decisions are taken. So we work with Morocco. I think that has been sorted out already in terms of where we differ. But in the interest of African football, we will work with them. We are partners with them. They support us. We support them. is to strengthen governance, and that has already been said. We should be stronger on governance, accountability, and transparency, and if that is in place, then that kind of allegation will not emerge. It is because of those issues, lack of transparency, lack of accountability, that these concepts develop. And I'm happy that our candidate, Dr. Motsepe, has already alluded to that is going to strengthen those two areas of transparent decision-making, accountability, and information. CAF's problem also is that its information comes too late, and then perceptions are gathered. So there must be a more responsive and more interactive engagement with the media, so that you have the information before anybody else has it and start interpreting it. So I just want to say, for now, our relationship with Morocco is a good one, and we will continue to work with them for the benefit of African football.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Amaju Pinnick, you want to? Okay. Could you just bring a microphone? Thanks.
Just to respectfully corroborate what the Vice President of CAF has said, if you look at the history of African football, at every point in time, a country comes to the fore, invests so much, and it pays off. At the point Nigeria did that, at the point South Africa did that. Now Morocco is investing. When they won CHAN 2 years ago, people thought it was a fluke, but they won it 2 more weeks ago. Today they are playing in the semi-finals, quarter-finals of the under-20. They've qualified for the under-20. The female team is springing up. They've got one of the best coaches in the continent. Fauzi and I, the President and I, we share gameful opinion. We argue when there's time to argue, but at the end of every of our argument, it's African football that wins, not Morocco. So just basically to corroborate what he said, our relationship is beautiful, our relationship is fine, and we work for each other. Fauzi and I, 100%, he knows, because our goal is to have very strong representation in FIFA, so that we can project and support Patrice Motsepe. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Amaju Pinnick, the Nigerian FA President, collaborating what Dr. Danny Jordaan was saying, especially around the relationships with Morocco. I think Hélène from Visual Media wanted to deal with the question, Dr. Motsepe, about misinformation, saying that there's a perception of the signing with the devil, so to speak, the inclusion of Fatma Samora, whether that will be the line down which we'll be going. So maybe let's quickly deal with that one.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Robert. 2 quick issues. There are no agreements or any contracts that have been signed with anybody. Besides, you only start thinking about specific candidates if, as I said, we are honored and privileged to be elected as president. I must say, I know in business there's a lot of misinformation, but I'm also learning that football is maybe takes the cup when it comes to misinformation, and you must be aware of the misinformation, but it's more important for you to focus on what needs to be done and make progress. So I've heard a lot of misinformation, and I understand it's by the nature of elections. Now, one of the gentlemen was asking the question, Robert, that I am seen to be getting the backing of FIFA. Now, it's interesting because they said the same thing about the president of Mauritania, who is also a candidate. And then when they also saw that that may not have been too successful, they raised other issues which sought to create negativity between Infantino and myself. Lots of misinformation. The 2 points I want to make is where we have succeeded in business, we've succeeded because of partnerships. And that's the key issue. And the partnership means that at times you even have to work with, not only with your competition, but with people who may not be fond of you. And you've got to reach out. There is no place for arrogance or place for grudges. I'm hopeless when it comes to keeping grudges, you know. My mother used to say I must be careful because when I have an argument with somebody, 2 minutes afterwards I hug them and they may still be angry and they may do bad things to me. But the one thing I'm absolutely clear about is there is no place for grudges, animosity, and as I said, even including people who we don't have good relationships with. So I want to conclude by saying I have no doubt that if I'm honored and privileged to be elected president of CAF, I am going to work together. In the first instance, with the presidents of Africa to whom I'm accountable to each and every country whose president may have elected me, including the ones who may not have voted for me. I've got a duty to them. But the second thing is I'm accountable to CAF, I'm accountable to the continent. We will work together with other continents. We need them. Partnerships to build African football and make it globally competitive and successful. And I will work with FIFA and with Gianni Infantino. I think one of the things I like about Gianni is what he has done for Africa. You know, I know that sometimes we've got good ideas and good plans, but there's a big gap between what we say and what we do. Gianni has done many good things. And what I like is when I travel all over Africa, and I hear presidents of countries, including my brother here, Pinnick, saying, I didn't vote for Gianni. I didn't vote for Gianni. And then Gianni cornered me in Mexico, came running to me and said, Pinnick, you are from Nigeria. I need to work with you. He says, but look at this man. I didn't vote for him, but he recognizes that the humility and the partnership he needs with Pinnick and with Nigeria. So I can tell you, I've got no doubt whatsoever. I'm going to, and I'm very happy, as I said, when I hear all of these presidents say that they are so thankful and so proud, and they trust Gianni based on what he's done. And I'll work with him. I'll work with the leadership of FIFA. I need them to help us make the significant progress we need in Africa. Is there another question that we haven't answered?
Yeah, there was the follow-up as well from Alain from Visual Media around the broadcast rights. Something about, you know, the Chinese company.
Yeah. No, you know, the last time I heard, they said it was an Indian company, and then they said it's an American company, and then they said it's a French company, which is fine. Let them all come. Whoever's going to give us the most amount of money, you know, we want to talk to them. Now, I want to say something. My brother, Irvin Khoza, really has done excellent work. You know, we always want to praise people when either they are too old or when we, you know, I don't know. We should teach our children. Danny Jordaan was the CEO of the World Cup, did wonderful work. We should be proud of that, celebrate that. Irvin Khoza, Dr. Irvin Khoza, exceptional work over many years, and proud of that. And he's one of the people that I'll be talking to on that issue of TV rights. Did wonderful. I want, and I'll talk to Moise and Mulifi. I want all of the guys who've got experience who can add value. Danny. And occasionally we'll ask the minister to give us tissues to console us when things don't go. And my brother from Zimbabwe will see more of me than he has. Even after the elections, just to say, Philip, what do you think we should do here? Because there are things he sees that I cannot see. And when listening to those views makes my contribution, and the contribution of all of us, significantly more impactful. So we need results. And that's why I'm saying that the essence of this new leadership, my period and our period of presidency must be a period that is results-driven, results-orientated. Thanks, Robert. There's nothing else there.
There's the question from Macy, from a community radio station, wanting to know about women's football. What are the plans from your side, especially from a continental perspective?
Yeah. Now, I want our minister, because he's doing, and I say this with respect, Nathi is doing excellent, excellent work. Not just as Minister of Sports, but also Arts and Culture. And I'm talking about what we see. And I also know that when people don't criticize you, and sometimes they make up these things, whether it's in football or wherever, then you know that maybe it's because we're not doing as well as we should. But when you've got all of these sort of issues arising, some of which are baseless, you know that there's a lot of excellent work that's been done. There's excellent work that our Minister of Sports and Arts and Culture is doing. And he's one of those who's been talking to me and say, Patrice, you know, I see that Mamelodi Sundowns has won they are the champions of the women. You know, this thing about women's football, very close to my heart. And I'm going to use all of my infrastructure because I think we can do something special there. And that doesn't only inspire me, but many others who say that the minister is behind. So our wonderful leader from Shoshanguve, who's talking, wonderful place, not far from home. Home is Soweto, it's Pretoria, it's Mamelodi, I don't know, it's the whole of the country. But just to say that, you know, again, Robert, a few years from now, we have to meet the way we do now. We've got to ask ourselves, what have we achieved between today and 3-4 years down the line? I know when Sundowns plays beautiful football and they don't score goals, hence, they must win. Not against Pirates, of course. And not against TP Mazembe, you know. Because there they might compromise my, you know, I'll get chased away from home, you know. I go to Orlando, my relative says, oh, why can't we win? You know, so I need to embrace them. So I'm just saying that we've got to, we need this. Minister, do you want to comment on that issue of the women's football? Because as I said, you've been talking a lot about how in football we must make more resources and contribute towards its growth.
Well, that's quite critical for us. We did say right from the beginning of taking over the portfolio with sport now that we want to see women football thriving in South Africa, in all sporting codes. We've met with the leadership of all the national federations on this question, because we understand that the fundamentals of transformation can never be complete without women playing a key role. That is why when SAFA raised the issue of the women's league, women's football league, not the women's league of the governing party, the women's football league, we said we support that because it has to start somewhere. And we can see the result out of that. I think it's Dr. Patrice Motsepe was talking about our girls, Banyana, displaying huge potential of our women in sport general. We do have a challenge when it comes to women, particularly the area of sponsorship. That's one area which, at all levels, from the national, regional to continental level, which we need to look into, because it's much easier for the private sector to come to the party, particularly supporting men. It is time that we nudge everybody to look towards the side of women, because women in sport are going to make the nations more prouder than men. I can say that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Minister. I know, Dr. Jordaan, you want to pick up on that point?
Yes, absolutely. I think this country is not focusing on the achievement of women's football. Firstly, we have 32 women footballers playing overseas. And some of them are millionaires, may have produced the first women football millionaires in this country. Country is not focusing there. Even on the African continent, I think women football's achievements, Nigeria is one of them, and that's why I agree with the candidate for CAF President, that the first African team to win the World Cup would be a woman national team. If you can see the ranking and you see the performance, and I will not be surprised. And we are in the top 3. It is Nigeria and South Africa number 3. So one of us will win the World Cup. Don't ask me when Bafana is going to win the World Cup, but we will win the Women's World Cup with Banyana long before Bafana makes it into a final. That is a guaranteed. And I thank the Minister because of the tremendous support for women's football. And when you see the ladies, when they come back, you ask them where they live now, what car they drive now. Their lives have been transformed, not only their lives, but the lives of their family. It is a wonderful success story of women's football and football in the country. And when they come back, I think they must speak more to the journalists because some of them don't want to talk. I said, don't talk about your money that you have. But if a player in Europe earns 20,000 euros or 40,000 euros, that's 200,000 or 400,000 rand a month. Their lives have changed. And so we can do more by investing in women's football. Their return on their investment is far greater than the 65 men we have in Europe, all struggling to be in the starting lineup. The women, they play for AC Milan, they're in the starting lineup, they play in Spain, in the biggest clubs, they're in the starting lineup. The men, we're struggling. So, a return on investment, I think the corporate South Africa should look again, where the investment brings huge returns.
We'll take the question that Benjamin from Newsroom asked, and then we'll head back onto the floor. A direct question to you, Dr. Motsepe, was that why has it taken you so long to finally have this platform, and isn't that going to handicap your campaign?
Yeah. Well, very good question. We have spent a lot of time traveling all over the continent. It was more important for me to meet with our presidents. The word they use is they call them member association presidents, and spend some time hearing from them. What are the challenges, what are the problems, what are the difficulties, but also talk about what are the opportunities, what should we do, what can we do. And because I thought it would have been a bit premature of me to have gone and engaged with the media without having traveled extensively on the continent. And I really want to thank so many of the presidents. My brother from Benin is there. We had a beautiful time in Benin, and the food was even more, I don't want to say the food was more beautiful, the food was beautiful. And the meetings we had with the president of Benin, my brother there, the president of Togo, the president of Mali, the president of Burkina Faso, and of course I went to Cote d'Ivoire as well, Ivory Coast, to meet with the candidate who is standing for presidency, my brother Jacques Anouma, and then we went to Egypt and North Africa. My brother Moise and I spent a day together we can't talk about what we did, Moise. It's a bit of a secret. But what we can say is we saw beautiful cattle, the most beautiful, beautiful cattle. When I told the king of the Zulu nation, he said, Motsepe, you must bring them here. So we've had lots of discussions. Some, we were in Congo, Brazzaville, we were in Kinshasa, we were in Rwanda. So you've got to go all. And the big privilege is my brother Philip, my president, and the leadership of COSAFA, who's here as well. So I have had to engage and hear and listen. And now I feel that there's enough time. I don't know how many days are there?
15.
15 days, eh? Yeah, that's. So I don't think it'll disadvantage. Yeah. But thanks for the question.
Right. I'm just taking one online question, and then we'll take the hands on the floor. It's a fairly long question, but...
And I must say, Pinnick says, I forgot, we went to Nigeria as well and had a wonderful time. Sorry, continue.
Hey, Pinnick. This is from Mulumba Katala, who says, Mr. President, I followed attentively your action plan, but nowhere have you mentioned anything about the legends. For CAF to be the CAF that we all cherish today, players achieved a lot, and no CAF president ever thought about setting up a legend committee to remember. He lists a whole lot of legends right throughout the African continent.
Rob, excellent question. I had a long discussion with Drogba. Wonderful discussion. And that's why we even brought Siaka Tieni and the French player, El Hadji. Yeah. But there was another, not El Hadji. Eto'o. But Eto'o is not French. There's another French one who's based in France. But anyway, so El Hadji Diouf, we were honored Eto'o was here. Very good question, Rob. The issue is not what we are saying, it's what we are going to do. And I can tell you now, I'm going to host a meeting with the most, Kanu, JJ, oh man, in North Africa, in East Africa. So I'm going to host a meeting, because one of the things we didn't talk about was, when they said they needed additional information, and the additional information was because we hosted the Mamelodi Sundowns. That was the reason we hosted the Mamelodi Sundowns 50-year celebration, and we invited many of the presidents. And and somebody said, but inviting the presidents was not in line with the FIFA rules, because this is what happens all the time. But anyway, be that as it may. So that was the issue. They raised, no. We need to get information on this this event we had here, inviting people to come here, and the issue was, some of them got sponsorships to come here. Now, this is the solidarity. People in, there are countries where there's no money. So if you invite them to talk about football, and the issues that they were even saying that somebody was saying this Mamelodi Sundowns celebration was exclusively because of the elections. Crap, man. We planned the Mamelodi Sundowns Foundation, the Mamelodi Sundowns celebrations 2-3 years ago. So I just want to say in conclusion, we are going to have an exciting meeting with some of the top legends on the continent. And I like what my brother said as well. The diaspora, exciting, man. There are players, and I can't agree more with you. The French players who won the World Cup, they belong to us. They belong to us. But of course, the world belongs to us as well. And we're excited that they are Frenchmen and they see themselves as French. Beautiful. But we have a peculiar pride and say, but their parents came from here. Mbappe, who's now the new exciting, his father is from Cameroon, his mother is from Algeria. Beautiful. And we're excited that he's a French citizen and the others are Belgium. So we will have that meeting and invite our legends and also have this committee. I'm going to engage with them and say, you must now advise on an ongoing basis. how can we improve African football and make it globally competitive and sustainable?
The question that came through from Skhumbuzo Moyo, it maybe might link you, Dr. Chiangwa, as well. It says the region that you come from has a tournament called COSAFA Cup Tournament, which sadly FIFA has not recognized and remains outside the FIFA calendar, largely because of the CAF leadership has not supported this move. What is your take on this? And will you push for COSAFA tournament to be recognized by FIFA? Thank you. That's Skhumbuzo Moyo from the Chronicle in Zimbabwe.
Is he here?
No, we had to limit the numbers here, Doc. So a lot of the journals are submitting their questions online. So we're taking as many as we can, both ways.
All COSAFA tournaments that we hold, especially last year, we held 4 consecutively where the minister was present, Danny was present. These tournaments are funded by FIFA. So I wouldn't know where this question is coming from. You can't receive money from FIFA for something they don't recognize.
Okay. All right, sweet and short. Thank you so much. Let me go back onto the floor. Let's take that first question there, then we'll come across to my left-hand side.
Afternoon, Dr. Motsepe and everyone. Just 2 quick questions. My first one, this is Tony from ENCA, sorry. My first one is, you said you traveled to West Africa and around the continent. In terms of support, I know Dr. Chiangwa, this might actually be for Dr. Chiangwa. You mentioned 35 to 40 FAs that are supporting Dr. Motsepe. Just in terms of the numbers breakdown, is there anything from the West African Football Union, specifically from Central Africa and from the other unions to make up that number, besides COSAFA? And secondly, to Dr. Motsepe, you talked about you have your name to protect, and you were described as a breath of fresh air. Just given all that, CAF has a reputation, I guess, of previous presidents being controversial. How do you plan on navigating the negativity that does surround CAF?
Thank you so much, Shwani, for that. Let's go to the, yeah, perfect.
Hi, my name is Nonhlanhla Chiani. I am African Renaissance and the Diaspora Network, South African representative in the SADC. My question to you, Dr. Motsepe, I agree on the 95% model that you have spoken to us about, that you cannot separate soccer from economy. I also appreciate your aim to transform soccer on Africa to ensure that women are inclusive. I hope we'll be seeing a strong presence of women in the committee that you will be electing. It would have been nice to have seen women present today next to you. Lastly, will we be seeing CAF collaborating with organizations such as ours to address sustainable development goals? Our organization works very closely with United Nations, Africa Union, government, private sector, and the civil society to implement sustainable development goals. And we've got a campaign that we have that was launched during the Women FIFA World Cup, because we work very closely with FIFA and UN Women and also UNFPA to give a red card to all forms of discrimination against women and girls. So my question is, will we be seeing CAF strongly participating and ensuring that sustainable development goals are implemented in Africa and globally? Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, let's take the question straight down there. Yeah, I'll hold it for you.
Question is to Dr. Motsepe or Dr. Jordaan.
Let me just push you, Mark, to identify yourself.
Mark Stradham, Marina Holdings, Times Live, Sweden Live. Apologies for that. Sorry to come back to Morocco, but just on the issue of visas and the reported concern over whether visas will be granted to the South African delegation. Have you been able to procure any assurances from Morocco, the Moroccan authorities, that the South African delegation can travel to Morocco? And Dr. Motsepe, just a second question is, there's been information of possible combination of campaigns with other candidates. Is that something you would consider? Is it anything that is being discussed? Can you confirm that? Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mark. Well, there's also at the front there, but let's take the gentleman there. He's been holding for a while, and let's recognize the standing committee as well that side. That's perfect. All right.
Thank you. Thank you, Brano. Dr. Motsepe, it's very Nyandu here from SABC. I'm glad you've got there on point 4 on investing in football infrastructure on the continent, because since the introduction of the 24-team AFCON, there's been a concern that only certain countries, or very few countries, can get to host this 24-team tournament, because previously we've been having a situation where countries awarded the tournament, but a few months before the tournament is hosted, it goes back to what we call a privileged country. But I want to take you to, I know that CAF in the past has signed a lot of MOUs with the African Union, but it's very difficult to see what that MOU entails. So as part of your presidency, are you going to prioritize the partnership with the MOU, in fact with AU, and also maybe extending a hand in terms of fully utilizing the 6 zones that you have on the continent of CAF?
Thanks so much, Velile. Let's take the question on my left.
Themba Shabalala, Joseph, FM Sports, as well as a South African football journalist member. Mr. President, Dr. Motsepe, one challenge that we've always had with Dr. Motsepe is that he, as the president of Sundowns, has not been doing radio interviews. With this platform that you've taken on, that is priority number 1, that you interact with us as the media. How are you going to tackle that one? And I got a concern as well, coming from one of our listeners who is a staunch Sundowns fan. He says that he's worried that they're going to lose you. And what's going to happen should you win? What's going to happen to Sundowns? Will your vision still be the same? And the last one would be South African Football Association presidency. Why didn't you look at running it first before you take on the CAF one?
All right. I have space for one more question. Okay, let's take the question at the back.
Kujo Amankwa. I'm working for Pan-Africanist-Football.com, based in Morocco. Good enough, the first question I wanted to ask have already been asked. But now the second question. A very good omen for Dr. Arvin Koza and Mr. Molife Oliphant to be here. When this campaign was announced, I was there, and they were not there. It created a lot of hullabaloo in terms of unity from South Africa, moving into the continent to seek the endorsement for Dr. Motsepe to be the president of CAF. Today, I'm very, very excited, very happy as a football person to see Dr. Arvin Koza and Mr. Molife Oliphant together with Danny Jordaan, who were aptly described as the 3 Musketeers who brought the World Cup to South Africa and the continent. And to be here is a good omen, indicating that maybe the gods of African football are beginning to smile at Motsepe's candidature. Now my question is, will Mr. Oliphant and Dr. Koza be part of the delegation to Morocco, Rabat on March 12th to complete this chapter to ensure the sense of unity, because unity is power, unity is strength, and regardless of how one looks at it, if the delegation is going to go without the duo, Mr. Koza and Mr. Oliphant, it won't be complete. My direct question to Dr. Koza, will he be part of the delegation of Dr. Motsepe to Rabat on March 12th when the elections will be held?
Thank you. Thank you so much. That will close the session on the floor. I think let's deal with what Shoni threw at us, the numbers breakdown in terms of the regions, because there was a mention of 35, 38, 40 was the number that was bandied about early on. So just to say, in which region are you able to tabulate that and give us a clearer breakdown of where you think the votes will be coming from in that 35 to 40 bracket?
What I would want is, I'll address the questions, including that one at the end. Okay. If Dr. Jordaan, the Minister, any questions that were aimed at them, let them deal with those and
not a problem.
I'll deal with the questions.
Okay. Okay, so the MOU issue, the visa issue, that is all of yours, Dr. Motsepe. Maybe let me go straight to you, Dr. Koza, in dealing with Kujo Amankwa's question. And maybe we'll even bring a microphone to Dr. Molefi Oliphant as well. They were asking, Doc, that will you be accompanying the delegation to Morocco on the 12th of March?
Firstly, I must indicate that I'm the Vice President of the South African Football Association. We have a policy there of one voice, one message. When the President was appearing in that press conference, I was representing everybody in the association. As much as I'm chairman of the Premier Soccer League, it is a member of SAFA, and the SAFA is the mother body. So therefore, for me not to be there, it doesn't signify anything, because I was part of the discussions, in the executive committee about the candidature of Mr. Motsepe, and there were a lot of things that took place there. But also there was a question that was raised in terms of the campaign, that Dr. Jordaan must be the one in charge of the campaign. So therefore, there's no other kind of, schism or differences or differentiations. And also in SAFA, we've got a very interesting formula. In the delegations of confederations, FIFA and COSAFA, all the vice presidents are represented. My position, whenever there are FIFA matters, I'm that delegation to go to FIFA. There's somebody in COSAFA, there's somebody in CAF. So unfortunately, it is not communicated to the public. But for the first time, thanks for the question to explain it. That we do it because it's minuted, it's a practice in SAFA, not only now, for years. So delegation of going to CAF, to Morocco, if you have not done the work here, what's the point of going to Morocco? Because people, they make up their minds now before they go there. So by the time you go there, you're going for a party. So therefore, it's important for me to be here, to be part of this most important launch of the manifesto, which I think is historic and a game changer, and we are part of it. And like Dr. Motsepe said, that he was also engaging us, individually, all the stakeholders of football in the country. That is not the public knowledge. So that's why it's very important that, to be here is not only here for the first time. We've been engaging, talking to the president, talking to other members of the association about this issue. So it's also part of, missionary. It's a question of the style, what you prefer to do. I always say to people, it's nice to do things in silence, and let the results be your noise. Because if making too much noise and you don't get the results, it doesn't help. And with football, campaigning, we've been there before. The first bid and the second bid, we know what it takes to campaign. So it's better, less said than being publicized, the better, but to get the job done. So I think the job is being done, it's going very well, so let's accept it and support it. So there's nothing untoward. For me, I'm here because there's an arrangement that, I'm part of those decisions. Thank you.
All right, let's afford Dr. Olifant a chance. Thank you so much, Dr. Ivan Koza.
Thank you. Is it working?
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Kujo, a very good question, although misplaced. I'm stating for the sake of emphasis. I'm the Honorary Life President of the Football Association, and I serve on the Executive Committee of SAFA. The candidature was endorsed by the Executive Committee of SAFA, of which I'm a member. And the decision was taken in our last meeting, sometime in November or October, that the president of SAFA, who's the face of football in the country, will always be in the company of a candidate, go out through the country, the continent, and if possible, beyond the borders of the continent to campaign. As I've said, I'm stating just for the sake of emphasis. So we've been part of it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mlifi Olifant, re-emphasizing the point that it was a decision that was taken collectively. So that puts paid, I suppose, Kujo, to the three musketeers that you brought forward. Let me then, Doc Chiangwa, was there one that was directed at you?
Which I answer?
I'm trying to see quickly so that we don't miss an opportunity. All right, I think we're clear on your side. Can we get back to the numbers issue? Just the breakdown, because they're all directed to you now. What is left, Dr. Motsepe? Maybe you'll give it. Yeah, okay. Correct.
No, this is two quick issues. President Philip, President Jordaan, and all the others really have done a lot of good work. The key issue for us is to make sure that there's extensive discussions throughout the continent, and to make sure that the expectations and the aspirations of all of the regions are taken into account. The issue of where you're going to get what amount of votes, it's a matter that will reveal itself, except to overemphasize that there is no place in the African continent that we are not engaging, but also that we are not seeking advice from in relation to drafting. I mean, I've already got a message from one of the, in fact, two of the presidents who are saying, I can see that in your CAF 10 point, I was looking at the messages there, so you have stated exactly what I told you. I can see it, it's there. And they are from the French-speaking parts of the continent. What were the other questions, Rob?
Okay. Just to wrap Tony's questions, saying that a lot of people have said you are a breath of fresh air in terms of stepping into football, but then the previous presidents that have been at CAF have been seen to be very controversial. How would you be able to be different, I guess would be the question to you. Yep. As opposed to being controversial, you would be what kind of a president?
Well, two quick issues. I think the sort of principles and ethics and conduct that have guided us and that have guided me in business are the same sort of principles and ethics which are critically important. Honesty, build a track record of trust, and more importantly, where we have different views, identify. Don't make promises you cannot keep. Where we've got different views, say so. but also seek to try and build consensus. And I cannot overemphasize the importance of the quality of people that we have the honor and privilege to work with. And what is even more important is surround yourself with people who disagree with you, and create a culture where people can honestly and freely express contrary views, because often the most important views are not the ones that you uphold, but the different views and the contradictory views of the other members.
There was a question from Nonhlanhla from the diaspora, who was in agreement with your 95% model, but also just saying, looking at the transformation, we might have dealt with it somewhat within women's game, but also the important thing was, CAF collaborating with the UN, with the African Union.
Very, very important question, Rob. Absolutely important. And you see, let me tell you something that's very important that really made me think about helping, because I'm going to be president, I don't know. I really intend to be president for a short period. They say you shouldn't say that, but I think how you do that is to make sure that there's world-class candidates, and there are world-class candidates who can take over from me. But you see, you've got to look at the future of the continent. And we currently have COVID-19, and you look at what does Africa look like 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now? Absolutely, absolutely important. And you recognize that we also have to build a common sense of perspective of what the future should look like. And football has a unique role to play. That's why I'm saying when Nigeria wins, when Zimbabwe wins, when Angola wins, when Benin wins, it is not, when TP Mazembe wins, there's an unspoken sense of pride and African patriotism. So we want to use football to play this role of building a sense of consciousness, a sense of solidarity, a sense of working together, a sense of a future that has a growth for all of us. So the diaspora is important because they've got an emotional connection with us. But let me talk quickly about the question about Sundowns losing me. Sundowns will never lose me, And Irvin is here. Pirates will never lose me. And I can say so about many other clubs. I was born in Orlando, and of course we had the privilege of knowing Kaiser Motaung when I was a little boy. And when Kaiser Chiefs played against Hellenic in 1974 for the Chevrolet Cup, of course Pirates lost against Acadia Shepherds. Kaiser Chiefs was not playing for Kaiser Chiefs, it was playing for all of us. It was at the time when we were trying to assert a sense of pride in the black community, because we were told as we grew up that we are not good enough, but our parents always told us, that's rubbish, you are as good as everybody. But so I will always be there. My heart and soul will always be with Mamelodi Sundowns. As much as my heart and soul will always be with Orlando Pirates and with all the clubs in the country and with SAFA. But why my wife is here and why my children are here is because of the deep, deep emotional commitment we have to Mamelodi Sundowns. And I'm talking here not just in terms of the love, but also the financial commitment. And it can only, my wife can only spend that money and my children because they love the club and they love football, and also because they see there's a contribution beyond Sundowns for South Africa. So she, if I'm honored and privileged and elect, I'll have to step aside, because you can't have a president who has to introduce all of these fundamental changes, some of which are not popular, but have to be implemented and will be implemented. And then I sit there, and Sundowns is playing the Champions League final, and the referee makes funny decisions, and they say, you see? You see? So I've got to step away. And in our culture, you know, your boys will be, they laugh, it makes me proud. And Kosa, I'm so proud of Nkosana. These boys must, you know, stay involved, take pride, take leadership. And there's a history, there's a sacrifice that the family has made. So in our culture, my son is going to be, you know, you don't want to preempt the thing, but he's going to be the new chairman, because you want to clap hands? We haven't even. No, we haven't even won. So you know, you don't know. You never count your chickens before they are hatched. So you wait and wait and wait and wait. But I'm just saying, but you've got to prepare. And his mother will be there, and his brothers will be there. And I'll tell you, partly because they will have to keep making money available to Sundowns. Without, you know, Dr. Precious and her children keep on contributing their money, serious problems, and it'll have an impact. So and my heart will always be there. So the jersey of president will be, what is the word they use, Kosa? Because when they say a jersey is put aside, what is the word they use? Retired. The jersey of the president will be retired until there's a new president at CAF, in which case I'll come back and, where's Dr. Rejoice? Dr. Rejoice will be the deputy, is she outside? Dr. Rejoice will be the deputy chairman and will be there to back up my son with all of the Stan, Yugesh, all of the great people there. And of course, the key person for me from a family perspective is my wife, because she has the unique love and also guidance. But you cannot have a president who is associated with a club and then he's got to play this role of leadership. Cannot. You know, when I was a young lawyer, they say justice must not only be done, but justice must be seen to be done. So I've got to take. So it means I cannot go to the stadium when Sundowns plays in the champion. I'll have to watch them on TV, you know. But of course, they know that they'll have my support. I'm now going to become an ordinary supporter. But let me say something else. I'm not just going to become an ordinary supporter, and this is key, an ordinary supporter of Mamelodi Sundowns. I'm going to become an ordinary supporter of Orlando Pirates, because we need Orlando Pirates to do well and to win. I'm going to become an ordinary supporter of TP Mazembe. We need TP Mazembe to do well and to win. I'm going to be an ordinary supporter of Kaizer Chiefs, of Amazulu, the club from Angola, the club from Benin, from Zimbabwe. You know, I'm going to be, because we need them to do well. And I just want to say in conclusion, there must be no doubt that my number one duty is to football. My number one duty is not to the club in the context as president. My number one duty is not to the club or even to the country where I come from. As much as it is emotional for me that Bafana has to do well, and it has to win. And the woman has to do well. And we must make sure they get more money, because they've got no money. And so anyway, but I'm confident that we will do well. I've got to maintain that sense of impartiality, sense of lack of bias, lack of prejudice. I think we've answered all the questions. Sorry,
I know that you jumped to Themba Shabalala's question regarding being lost to Sundowns. So just to peel off on another question that he asked was, why did you not run for SAFA President?
I was laughing when they said, why did you not run for PSL Chairman? Why must I run for positions where there are people who are better than me? And part of being a leader is to recognize, is to support the people who make huge sacrifice, better qualified, more experienced. You don't have to, even this CAF thing, Really, it was a difficult decision. And it's difficult because once I make myself available, like damn hell, we've got to succeed. We have to succeed. And that means long hours, hard work. We have to succeed, and we will succeed. So you've got excellent people. I mean, the work that Dr. Khoza has done in the COVID-19, people don't know, you know, and we like it that way. Sometimes he phones me to say, it's raining. It is raining? What do you mean it's raining? No, I just want to hear your voice. Wanna go high. Sometimes I phone him because I say the sun is shining. It's hot. It is hot. But this is a long history. That's why some people try and say all sorts of negativities, and which is fine. But they don't know where we come from. And they don't know the deep commitment and obligation we have to each other. And the same applies to Danny, to Milifi, and to Moise. So, you know, so I'm just saying, Danny is doing, as president of SAFA, I mean, he's doing a wonderful job. So why go and, I just want to say finally, you must be careful in life as well. Leaders must be there for a limited period, and you must get out of there. You know, I was president of business, a united black and white business in the country. I was president of NAFCO. When I stepped down, they were saying, no, please stay, we love you, we can't survive without you. Crap. There's a time to come and there's a time to go. And thank God you want to go whilst they still say, hey, we love you, you know. You do a good job. Not, can a car not knock him down when he walks down the street, you know. Or some taxi guys just pretend that the car is out of control, you know. So you know, for me, what people think is critically important. Very important.
Just the other one, just to wrap on Tamba's questions, about you not doing regular interviews with the media and not making yourself available for that. So will that change in your new environment?
And I was good and very proud of you. I've been proud of you when you were a little young, growing, very proud, very proud. And I can't say too much because otherwise you'll abuse it, you know. Anyway, so let me say this. You must recognize that there are people that I work with whose job it is to communicate with the media. And also, I don't want people, you must be careful that I get involved when there are problems. When the supporters were saying, Pitso must go, Pitso must do this because he was losing, that's when I had to go and address the media and say to the supporters, no, this is nonsense. And what happened? Pitso became the most successful coach in the history of South Africa, which made not just Sundowns proud, but made me very proud. So I do recognize I do have a duty to engage, and I will do that. But I also recognize that I have to give the people that I work with, whose job it is, to engage with the media and to talk. The problem, Robert, is I get called and they want to ask me about football. And then they don't ask me about football. They ask me about the mine workers, they ask me about COVID-19, they ask me about, you know, and sometimes they tell me that my daughter needs to go to school. I've got, the joke is, I've got a BMW, it's paid for, I've got a Mercedes, it's paid for. Can you help me pay for the Jaguar? Or can the Motsepe Foundation pay? So I'm just saying that, and now the other problem comes. Then I have to talk to shareholders. Now this is a meeting of shareholders. We're talking about the performances of our business. And then somebody will stand up. Why did you let Pitso go? Why did I let Pitso go? We are talking about African rainbow minerals here, you know. No, he had a contract. You should have refused for him to go. I mean, he's got to grow, man. It's an opportunity for him. So we will engage and we will be available. But the more important thing is we will make sure that there's always, and I can tell you, we're going to run that CAF in a manner that is world class. We have to. We have to. And part of that, as I said, I will have to engage. But you know, Danny talks, Dr. Khoza talks, they don't just talk for themselves, they talk for me. President of Angola is here, President of Zimbabwe, Benin. president of Nigeria, when they talk, and they will talk at CAF, my president here from our COSAFA president, they speak for all of us and they speak for me. Why must I talk when my president is here? Thanks, Robert.
Okay. All right, I know it's been a long haul and we'll be releasing everybody pretty soon. I just got two questions from two members of the media on the floor. Mark Stradham did ask from Marina about the visa issue, whether that has been granted in terms of going to Morocco, and then also the combination of the candidature for the vote with the other candidates as well, if there has been that sort of arrangement. So Morocco first, and then a deal with the other candidates.
Yeah. In the interest of time, I want to repeat, I wish every one of the candidates, and I say this genuinely, because I think they are excellent human beings and have made wonderful contributions to football, and football needs them, and I need them, and CAF needs them. So what will unfold in terms of the candidates? I think it's got to take its course. It would be inappropriate of me to speculate. I think, Danny said it very well, and Dr. Koza said it very well. What we have to focus on is our strategy. What are we going to do? What do we intend doing? And not say things about the other candidates, particularly things that are negative. I'm very clear in my mind, I will work with everybody, and I do want to work with everybody to make sure that African football is the best in the world. Concerning the visa, I don't want to waste time. I really don't think that's an issue. That at the right time, we will get visas. And again, the key issue is that we have to use football to bring people together all over the continent. And also the sort of political issues where there are differences, we respect that and we recognize that. And let them try and, at the AU level and United Nations and globally, try and find, we need Africa to be at peace with itself and to build a country for everybody.
Velile Nyandu did ask a question regarding signing MOUs with the other countries.
So, I'll take that. Danny wants.
Yeah, can I just say, I have the visa application form for Morocco here. So we are going to Morocco, the Congress will be in Morocco, there is no problem. Secondly, for Kuju, I phoned Dr. Koza and Dr. Oliphant to make sure they are here. There is no problem.
So that means the visas have been granted or the application has arrived?
He says he's still applying. I can tell you I don't think there's an issue there.
Okay, all right. Just to address Velile's question about signing the MOU with the other countries, all of those partnerships, and how you're going to be fully utilizing all of the zones.
No. And in fact, President, I'm actually happy the president of COSAFA is here. One of the big, in my personal opinion, one of the things I really would like to happen is to have, before every CAF Exco meeting, the day before, to have a meeting of the presidents of the zones. I mean, you can't, my president here has got so much to offer. He's got more experience than I ever could. Has got so much to offer, not just to COSAFA, but to the whole of the continent. So what we are going to change is, and this is one of the suggestions, before every CAF Exco meeting, the day before, we spend a meeting with the presidents of the zones and the presidents of the regions. And I would want President Philip to have the vice presidents there. So it will be a meeting of the president with the vice president, meeting with the presidents of the zones. And I think if any other CAF member wants to be Exco member, let them come. But we have to engage more. And they said to me correctly that the zones have got no power in terms of the constitution. We are going to have to change that constitution. We can't change it piecemeal. we're going to have to take one thorough assessment of the whole of the constitution of CAF, of course in line with the FIFA constitution, and make a comprehensive change there. I mean, the easy things is that the zones will host, competitions for, the youth, but I'd also want to spend time with Sue and with my president here and say, what do you think? Because it's a resource, we've got to use that resource more. Are we finished now?
Thank you so much. I want to thank everybody who's attended here. I know that it's been a lengthy session, but a worthy session, to say the least. We have prepared lunch for everybody, so if you do allow the VIP members to exit first, as we still keep the very strict protocols and whatever we do in this property and facility, to please do that. Maybe just a quick thought, Doc, is that you did call for Dr. Rejoice to come through. Maybe, I see she is there, maybe you wanted to just introduce her to the floor because of the role that she'll potentially play.
Yeah, Dr. Rejoice, they want you to come forward. Can I just ask, let's clap hands for everybody who's here, please. Now, Dr. Rejoice knows that, Nkosana, I always say to Dr. Rejoice, when she goes to the exco, she must look at Dr. Koza and ask Dr. Koza, which is the direction. Because the problem is, if there's a problem, Koza phones me, hey man, what's wrong with these Sundowns people, Don't they know that some of the issues are in the interest of football, broader issues. But sometimes they haven't looked. So I've known, Dr. Rejoice looks younger than me, but I've known her for more than 30 years. And she's just become younger and younger. And of course, she's a board member. And I don't want to say, because it's a bit premature, but just to say, thank you so much, Dr. Rejoice. Again, I want to thank, with humility, Minister, thank you so much. I'm so grateful, my brother. President, we are so honored. Rob, so proud of you. So proud. So proud. And my brother, Danny, thank you so much. Dr. Koza, Mulifi, thank you so much. Moise, President Pinnick, and President Pinnick has flown all the way from Nigeria. And our president from Zimbabwe and our Bagohaiba, the CAF Exco. As we leave, let's clap hands for everybody, please, once more. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Right.
Are you
What?
Look at the name I'm doing.
Are you serious?